Now stay tuned to the following radio broadcast.
You're listening to the Victory Station, AM 1360. We're glad you chose us. Thank you.
It's Impact with the Florida Star, the largest, oldest, and most read African-American newspaper in Northeast Florida and South Georgia. And now, here's the host, the publisher of the award-winning Florida Star, Clara McLaughlin.
This is Opio. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Impact. We got Deaky Berg and the Professor from the Street Stars documentary film. And interviewing is Jermyn from Blacksonville.com right here on Impact.
We're dealing with youth. We taking the responsibility to inspire others. How do we create a mass effect? Like, I'm talking about massive effect. You know, the one-on-ones, we gotta, you know, we can't save everybody, but how do you put this package, you think, well, we can only, how would you apply it to your community right now? I mean, if you had 100 brothers on your level, what would be your core focus? What you think is the main solution that's going to usher us into this innovation economy?
Let me say this. This film is an activist film. It's used as a tool to be able to teach and inspire, and hopefully a person in Chicago can see that some of the very same things that happen here in Jacksonville happens there. Right. And some of the same type of brothers that they see in this film is right there in their neighborhood. And that's the absolute fact. I believe when you have all the technology that we have, where I can take this right here, I don't have to make a DVD now. Just like when I write a book now, I don't have to have a physical book. I can take whatever's in my head, I can create the product, and I can actually put it out digitally. And that can go out around the world. So that neighborhood that's in South Africa, where you got the gang violence of Tupac against the Biggies, at one time I heard they might be able to see something like this because they identify with those two brothers so much, and be able to see what we're doing over here and trying to decrease tragedy and decrease the violence that happen in our community. And listening to people that are going through the system that have turned their lives around, were successful on the streets, turned their lives around, and now successful in real life. There are certain type of people that me as a professor, people won't listen to. Right. Because when I left the streets, it was one day out of high school, and I went on the Navy, and I went to college, and so on. There are people that stayed and dealt with street life, and a lot of those people, they got damaged by it. Right. Some people went to prison, some people died, and so on. But there are some people, it turned them tougher, made them to see in a very predatory sense how to deal with the entire world, and this world might even be a little easier to them as a result of having been on the streets. But also they possess a certain type of, people possess a certain type of dialogue, if you understand street life, to be able to talk to a person in certain type of jargon, with certain type of intonations that allows a person to get it.
For those who have been through that transition, like, you never really can imagine what tomorrow looks like when you understand the blessings of today. And only those who, you know, really go through that cycle have those answers that Street Stars is creating for the world, you know. So with that in mind, what do you do as a, what's your profession now? I'm sorry, maybe I'm
an independent contractor for Amazon.
Okay.
And I play poker on a professional level.
Gotcha. What about yourself?
I play chess on a professional level too.
Awesome. Yeah, that's wonderful. Strategist.
Well, I scout a little bit for HLL Sports, and I'm also a private chef. You know, so.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Cooking and cooking.
Yeah, but you know what? Neither is my calling.
Neither is your calling.
I can honestly say that.
Okay. So you're saying there's more to it?
Neither, like.
Oh, you know your calling.
I got aspirations not to go back to the penitentiary.
I know that's right.
But that's neither is my calling. But when I get that platform,
yeah,
You'll see, brother.
Something in bone and popping.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Health and wellness. Like y'all stay physically fit, you know.
I'm trying to get rid of this belly, man.
I'm off and on.
Off and
I'm
on.
off and on.
Off and on.
Somebody always having a barbecue.
6 months.
Were you that way on the inside? Did you?
Now I tell you what I tell you. Now it's on the
you was working out 3 times a day on the inside.
On the inside. Now when I was in the penitentiary, you know, I respected that guy so much, and he always, you know, worked. You wouldn't have recognized if you knew me when I went in. You wouldn't have recognized me when I went out. My stomach was flat.
Yeah.
You know, I was fit, and I came out, and Mama and Granny and my sister and I was just cooking every other day, and you know, I was like, man, I can't keep it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I will say this as far as health and wellness. I always tell my nephews because they're athletes.
Right.
You know, and the conversations I have with them, it's not always about sports. I always let them know, don't forget about life. This ain't your life.
What is the transition, the body of knowledge for you that changed your mind state that allowed you to transition on the other side? When I say the other side, from the inside out.
My transition, I started putting myself in positions to where I started seeing that it was a blessing to come from up under what I was coming from up under. I first went to prison, I was 15. I turned 16 in prison. And I was in the streets in the 7th grade. You know, I dropped out of school in the 7th grade.
Out of there.
Out of there. When Easy made that song, clocking the GOE.
Clocking the GOE.
Bump school.
Yeah.
I was clocking the GOE. Bump school.
For sure.
So I was even on the news at 15, which was illegal. But I learned because I wanted to get rich that way.
Right.
I wanted to find a way to get rich, and that was the only way that I seen that I can get rich. Seeing guys ride around in big cars and stuff like that, I wanted to be like them. But over time, once I started making money and seeing how fast I was making it, that it was getting took from me. And I was getting locked up. I started to realize that, living this life, I can't win. Because every time I build it up, they're going to tear it down. So what happened was I came home from prison after doing 14 years, and one of my homeboys that's been working all his life, I seen him driving nice cars and stuff. When I came home, I was like, man, how you got all this? Man, working. And he got good credit. And that's all it takes. Okay, well, I think I might need to try that. And that was part of something that I started focusing. And I also learned, because I had to retrain the way I was thinking and start educating myself.
Right.
Because like I said, I dropped out of school in the 7th grade. So I started training myself and rethinking. And when I was in prison, guys that was raising me in prison was guys coming off death row. Because I was young and wild. And them guys, they liked me, and they seen that I had heart. So they'll tell me certain things, and I was paying attention to these guys because these guys was really sharp.
No doubt.
Coming off death row. And I started learning that, it's about who you know. And you got to know how to survive and train yourself to be around different people, dealing with different mindsets, different personalities. And so once you figure that out and know how to deal with people, that open up doors. And so once I start figuring that out, I know how to relate to people. I know how to get out and mingle with the right people. So when I came home, I started mingling with people that I seen that was successful, and that started swaying me to be able to, hey, I got this offer. I got this offer. I had a guy to come to me and say, hey, I got a job for you, making $200,000 a year. But do you have a degree? I said, no, I don't got a degree. He said, man, if you had a degree, I can get you a job like that. But, you know, at the time I didn't have one. So they still opened up doors because they liked it. You know, so it ain't always about, you know, it's about who you know.
Right.
In certain positions, you know what I'm saying?
That's that body of knowledge I'm talking about. Those relationships, that identifying positive energy as the way, as opposed to quick money, fast money. So like you said, it's in a relationship. So for you, can you identify, like, what was it like? Because obviously, you know, when you're in there, you're thinking like, damn, boy, I done got myself up in here right now. You know what I'm saying? And it goes through a period. You wake up even in your sleep, and you look up. I mean, it'd be a dream in your own bed, and when you wake up, ain't nothing but them white walls surrounding you.
Yeah, that many a night.
So so what was the new knowledge for you?
It started for me, like big. It started for me before I got out. I was blessed to sleep next to an OG. Like, that was full of wisdom. He was full of wisdom. But I think I was so angry at the time while I was in there that, you know, my anger hindered me from taking heed, you know, to the things he was saying to me. You know, come to find out, just through conversations between me and him late at night.
Yeah.
It's just you and the guy sleeping next to you. Y'all ain't sleeping yet. Y'all, you know, talking about everything you did out here. But see, he was like a prosecutor, cross-examining me. He wanted to know everything about me. So when he found out everything about me, he became angry, and he told me this. He was like, I was angry. He said, man, soup. They called me soup. In the pen, all I bought was soup. So he was like, soup. He was like, young brother,
ramen noodle.
Yeah. He say I'm angry with you. He said, so if I'm angry, I know your parents just as angry. And I never told him I came up with both parents in the crib. I never told him that. He assumed that himself. His assumption was right. He was like, I'm angry because it's people that need you out there. And he said, I'm not talking about financially. He said, I'm talking about the smart suit. That's what he said. He said, I'm talking about the bright suit. I was always book smart in school. I made good. Anybody who know me tell you, we don't know why that boy went out there. So that boy there was That boy made good grades. You know what I mean?
Not him.
But I just always felt like I was smart and I could outsmart anybody. That's why a lot of the older dudes, you know what I mean, still with me. All the OGs dealt with me because I was no hot boy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't have a dope boy look. You know what I mean? All I did put my backpack on, boom, boom, there it is. You know what I'm saying? But in the crib, nobody would have known that a young guy like me in school playing sports had about $15,000, $17,000 in the house. That was a lot of money to me.
Right.
I was just nothing, nowhere near compared with my man. You know what I'm saying? But
from your own
the OGs, they dealt with me like real hard. You know what I'm saying? They respected me, and I had this guy respect, and I didn't know it. You know, so once I really got to know him, you know, like my conscience bothered me a little bit because I used to snap at him. I used to, you know, be sassy with him. This was old at the time. He was like 55 years old. I was in my early 20s, you know, and I thought, like, I knew how to move in the streets. I didn't know the streets because I wasn't from the streets, but I knew how to move in the streets. You know what I mean? But he taught me life. You know, he taught me, like he said, how to deal with, you know, multiple personalities. He taught me how to not let nobody dictate my character, or never ever let nothing material dictate my character. And when I became infatuated with educating myself, I used to sit in the prison library, and all I'm thinking, I could be reading a book, but all I hear is his voice in my ear as I'm reading these books. you know, and he always don't let nobody get out of you. Don't ever again let nobody dictate your character. And I used to tell him, ain't nobody dictate my character. I know exactly. He was like, you was letting somebody or something dictate who you are. You know what I mean? So that knowledge, that wisdom helped me, you know what I'm saying, to make that transition when I went from behind the fence to in front of the fence. You know what I mean? So when I came out here, when I got out here, I always loved sports, you know, and the aspirations I had, I always had aspirations to play college football. Couldn't do that, you know. So I destroyed my own opportunity. Ain't nobody take it from me. I took it from myself. You know. So I always loved sports, you know. And he asked me, he was like, if there was something you can do when you get out to help, you know, someone coming up after you, you know, what would you do? And I told him, I was like, you know, I always wanted to play college football, and he was like, well, those guys that got those same aspirations, he said, just talking to them and standing in their ear would help them to not fall to the wayside like you did. You know what I mean? So when I got out, I started doing that, and like my man said, like he built these relationships. So wasn't trying, but I knew a lot of these parents' kids. They didn't even know I knew their kids. So when I go to these games, the kids coming up to me. All of them started calling me Uncle Pooh, because they always hear my biological nephews call me Uncle Pooh. So now I became the community uncle. You know what I mean? So it's
that body of knowledge, right?
Right. So they parents hearing about this, so come to find out, it was this one guy, and he was like, man, I want to introduce you to somebody because you know a lot of athletes, you know? So I was like, okay. He was like, meet me at the ale house for lunch. So I go to the ale house. I see this short, black, bald-head guy come in, you know, which is, come to find out, he was an agent, NFL agent, you know? And he was like, yeah, man, I heard you got, you know, these parents trust you, and a lot of these athletes trust you and look up to you, you know. So he was like, man, I you know, I wanna, you know what I'm saying, I wanna take this further, you know, get to know you, you know, a little more. So me and him got to meet, and we got to, you know what I'm saying, and he called me one day and said, man, you know, this season almost over. You know anybody? So I ended up taking him to this quarterback. You know, I called the dude father, and his son played quarterback, you know, and the coach, the Giants, make a long story short, the coach, Giants, and the Chiefs gave him a tryout. But he ended up playing pro ball in Canada, making 6 figures.
Now he was he was straight out of college, though.
Yeah, he came out of Valdosta State.
Okay.
Right out of Jacksonville. Right
What
out
position?
Right out quarterback. You know. So that
your trust.
Yeah.
Based on
yeah.
your character. That you built up.
Absolutely.
Not nobody else.
Nobody else.
And see, that's what I meant by a body of knowledge, because I think what's empty in the tank right now in terms of transformational leadership, which is what we're really talking about, how to transfer energy from one vehicle to another for optimal health and wellness and self-preservation.
Do you know what media received the first Eagle Award by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office for being the most factual? The Florida Star. Do you know which media solely addresses issues of concern for African Americans? The Florida Star. Do you know which media carries local, state, national, and international news regarding African Americans? The Florida Star. Do you know the only media that carries a special section for our youth at home and the schedule for 3 black television networks? Now you know the Florida Star. Northeast Florida's largest, oldest, and most read African-American newspaper, serving since 1951 in more than 200 locations. The Florida Star. News you can use. News you can trust. The people's choice. Striving to make a difference. Subscribe today. Call 766-8834. That's 766-8834. Pick up the Florida Star at over 200 locations, or to have it delivered, call 766-8834. The Florida Star, speaking truth to power.
No, I really want to appreciate you guys for coming out to Street Stars. This is a serious endeavor to make sure that the voices who are unheard have a voice. There's a lot of wisdom. You have anything you'd like to close out with?
I'm not going nowhere. And I'm going to try to stay focused to where I can help those guys that's getting out of prison. You know, the opportunities that I'm trying to set for brothers, I never had those opportunities. I never had nobody to be able to say, hey man, you want a job? It's just something that you can get into to where you always can have a job. You always can provide for your family. Even though you don't have a degree, even though you slipped up and went to prison, now you back home. So that's my focus. That's what I try to stay focused on every day. And that's most definitely something that I'm always going to continue.
Make yourself available.
Right.
Right. Me, I would say, don't give up. You know, everybody falls short. Everybody, you know, make mistakes. It's not over for you. You know, and I know it's not over because I've seen guys in prison gain multiple degrees. You know, so there's no need for anyone out here in the free world to give up because it's possible. You know, you got the freedom. You know, but any aspiration you have possible. You know, always, you know, like everybody should always remember, you know, that these young brothers are, you know, they teenagers coming up, so they don't have the same maturity that we have. You know, so we can't give up on them. You know what I mean? Because once you give up on them, there's a little bit of room there for them to mess up. Once you give up on them, and I'm telling you, you give up on them, and they go and end up getting 10, 15 years, the country's going to eat you up. Because believe it or not, you could have prevented that. Because you prevented a bunch before that. So even if, you know, some of you kids are hard-headed, not listening, trust me, they will get it. They will get it. I've dealt with some rough little dudes. Yeah. And if they can do it, the rest of them can do it. But us, we can't give up on them. I mean, we can sit here and talk about, you know what I mean, what's to come 10, 15 years from now. Now, we can sit here all night and talk about that. But it don't negate the fact that right up this block is 5 intelligent dudes, probably up the block, selling dope. Not knowing, green to the fact of what's going to happen in that courtroom. You know, so I just believe in giving it to them blood raw. You know, I'm not going to go there and talk their ear. I'm going to talk to them in a way that the dudes on their block talk to them. But our conversation going to end up being a little different, hopefully.
Right.
You know, if they don't get it, I will come back to this same block every single day until at least one get it. Because we need them. We need them. We need, athletes. Yeah. But we need
engineers.
We need engineers, but we even need lawyers. Yeah. I tell young brothers all the time, the NFL, like I say, it's not gonna always be there. Who knows what's gonna happen when you get there? You know? Think about going to law school. You know? Sit down and let someone like Opio, an activist, tell you about how unjust this judicial system is. You know? So we need more of us, you know, in especially us that has been to the penitentiary. and seen an unjust, been through an unjust system. Be mad, be so angry that guys like Vernell Bean, you know, get murdered. It's a murder. Get murdered unjustly. Be so angry that his murder inspired you to become a lawyer to fight things like that.
Right.
You know, these are the type of conversations I have with these young brothers. Like I said, we sit here and talk about, you know what I mean, whatever there is to come.
Right.
But I like talking about what you can be now.
Yeah.
I like talking about what you can be right now. And right now, any one of those young brothers on that block can be a doctor, be a lawyer, and join the Innocence Project and get some of these brothers that's unjustly locked up out of prison.
That's right.
It's not going to happen with us depending on everybody else that don't sympathize with our struggle.
Right.
See, we need more black young brothers and sisters to become lawyers. Because now we got lawyers and judges sitting on the bench. We got lawyers sitting in these courtrooms that sympathize, that seen guys like Vernell that's from the same neighborhood as them get unjustly murdered. Not just here, everywhere. New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia. I know 2 brothers been to prison as lawyers right now in Philly, fighting this same fight. Fighting the same fight. That's what we need. Let me tell you, as much as I love sports, we got enough athletes.
Right.
But we don't have enough of those athletes that come back and will put the money up for one of these intelligent brothers to go be lost. See, these are the conversations I have with pro athletes. I say, just don't be on TV. I respect everything Colin Kaepernick doing. But just don't go beyond kneeling down on the sideline. Go back to your neighborhood.
Oh no, Kaepernick do it.
Yeah.
I'm with you though.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's the example.
Go back to your neighborhood
Right.
with those millions of dollars. If you're so angry about this unjust judicial system, the way these black brothers getting unjustly murdered, the way we getting oppressed on our jobs, come back with those millions of dollars and start some type of corporation. Come back with these millions of dollars, write a check to where this kid have no worries while he's studying to become this lawyer to fight the good fight. These are the type of conversations I have with pro athletes. Pro athletes.
Right. Transformational leadership in any way you
That's
can.
what we need.
Any way you can.
Well, let me thank you, Brother Jermyn. Mr. Blacksonville. Thank you for the interview. Go to filmingstreetstars.com, 18.2 Star TV. We're going to be running it Father's Day, and we're going to run it a few more times, the 4TV version. Then we have the director's cut, which kind of lets it all hang out, and you're going to see some real deep parts in there in the very beginning that sets up why this project is so important. So I'd like to thank you again. Appreciate it. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show. That was Jermyn from Blacksonville.com that did the interview, as well as Denovel Wilson or Deaky Berg, as well as the professor. You heard him on this radio station before, Eddie Stewart.
A lot of young cats is going to prison now. Because you got guys coming out, they glorifying. You know what I mean? They walking around acting like it was just a slap on the wrist. So these young cats thinking, oh, this ain't, if I just do this little itty bitty crime, then not knowing that little itty bitty is building. Now you're in rock court getting 30 years.
Also, look out. We will be running Street Stars, the documentary, on Star TV, channel 18.2 here in Jacksonville. All right, y'all, I got to get out of here. Y'all make sure y'all get a copy of Street Stars, a crime reduction theory. Go to filmingstreetstars.com. That's filmingstreetstars.com. It's going to be a great, impactful film. All right, I got to get out of here. This is Opio. We will see you next time on Impact.